Welcome, everyone, to Real Talk with DMJ. And today, my guest is a beautiful, strong Black woman. I'm glad to have here with me Cyneetra Brady.
Thank you.
Cyneetra, Real Talk, and you know how we do it.
Yeah.
I want you to be very transparent with me because this show today touches both of our hearts.
Right.
Being a single Black woman, you know, in our community here in Kitsap County, and gone through homelessness, incarceration. And today we're going to talk about those things, being caught up in the system.
Right.
And then I would like to know today and to share with our audience what that has been. So my first questionary thing, can you share with me about being homeless, a single Black woman being homeless and having your children, the struggle and the attributes behind all that?
So I've been back from Mississippi for about 2 years now. And since I have been back in Kitsap County, I have been struggling with finding stable housing. One of the biggest issues is having children and not knowing where to be or where to go sometimes, you know. And I just kind of been winging it. I have family and I have friends, so we're not quite in the streets, but I don't have my own. And so I've been through different programming. There's a couple different programs I've been through, but no one has been able to, like I said, I've been on the list for almost 2 years now, and no one has been able to reach out or give me the help that I need when it comes to getting a stable home.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and ask you, so you keep saying you've been on the list. Because my thing about today, our conversation is about bringing awareness.
Right.
And then for your voice to be heard.
Right.
And so what list are you sharing with us today?
So there's a couple. I have went to KCR and got on their housing solution list, which they give you a worker that is supposed to work with you. And you go in and you fill out this paper. You let them know your situation. They wanted me to stay at a shelter at one point. And I have 4 daughters. And so my thing about staying at a shelter is sometimes different people are there and no background checks are took, or you go into these places and you don't know what you're going into. And so I have young children at that. And so that's my awareness about the shelter-wise. I'm on Bremerton housing list. I've been on there for almost 2 years, and Housing Kitsap. I believe those are, I don't want to say they're housing choice voucher lists, but I think they're subsidized housing lists, like where they do 30% of your income. And I also have been on a FCS program. It's through KCR. It's a program that's supposed to help you with like moving forward. They're supposed to be able to pay like up to 18 months of your rent, your first month deposit, and help you find a job or education, whichever one you provide. So when I say list, I mean like several lists. Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, you're telling me it's been a 2-year struggle.
Right.
And you haven't gone anywhere.
Right.
You haven't moved forward. So in other words, you're telling me you're still stagnant.
Right.
But one thing I've noticed about you is that you haven't let those barriers stop you from moving forward in your life.
Right.
So tell me, where you at right now?
So right now I work. I do have a job. I also am going to school for my GED. I also am really big on going to church and being involved in church every Sunday. My kids are a big part of me moving forward or keeping it moving, because I grew up with a mother that was a single mom and had to do what she had to do. And so if you ask my children today, they probably wouldn't know that we were homeless the way that I operate. I try to make it to where they're not worried about life as much as I am. That's my worry. I kind of tell them, be kids, you know, go to school.
Yes.
I got this type thing. I have been, like you said, I was in prison. I've been incarcerated before. I came out of that. I've been homeless. This is not my first time being homeless. I was homeless before I had children at one point. And that was in Tacoma. And it was a little different because they did have shelters that you can go sign in and be there every night. And then you had to check out in the morning. So I did that for a few months. And then me and my sister ended up getting stable housing. When I moved to Mississippi, I gave up my housing because you couldn't transport it. And so when I came back to no housing.
Okay, so yes, I believe I was in contact with you when you came back. I was glad to see you back, and to go ahead and try and be of some assistance to you.
Right.
But my thing was, I would like to talk more about the system and being in the system has taken so long to serve you,
Right.
and for you to. I wanted to ask you, do you felt like they're doing a disservice, and what is missing while you're in the system?
Well, there is a problem with communication, I feel like, when it comes to these programs. They tell you, it's misleading almost. They tell you that they're going to help you with housing. They tell you that you got to fill out these paperwork. You do this information for them. And then it takes them so long to get back to you. You kind of go underneath they kind of forget about you. You have to keep up with them. Like me at the first year, I called every week. I checked in every week. Like, you have to keep up on these people. And it's still like, even though I got approved for this FCS program, I still haven't heard anything. My worker hasn't called me.
Can we go ahead and stop right there? What is the FCS program? Do you know what those acronyms are?
You know what? I don't know what it stands for, but it's a program through KCR. KCR is the one who's behind that.
They host the program.
Yes. And they also have it to where it's like part of the housing solution they have. So they call it housing solutions that they help you with at KCR. You go, you fill out the paperwork, you let them know your situation. And pretty much if you're not sleeping outside or in the car or in the rain, they pretty much send you on your way until they can get you some type of help.
Oh, so when you were in the hotels, and I believe that KCR did pay for the hotels.
Right.
So that should have helped you to move forward into the program. Can you tell me, did you double check back with them?
No, so what it is when they were giving out the vouchers for the hotels, they were doing it 2 weeks at a time. They were telling me that I stayed at Baymont for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And when I got out of there, they put me into right next to Jack in the Box.
The Quality Inn.
The Quality Inn. They put me there for a couple weeks. And it was like after that, they kind of pretty much, I didn't get no follow-up or nothing. They pretty much, I still am on the list. I go back and fill out the paper every 6 months or whenever they update the housing solution papers. And that's pretty much how that stands. But it's a trip because, Deborah, if I was anywhere else, I probably would have, I'm a single mom with 4 children. Seattle, Tacoma, anywhere else probably would have found me somewhere to be. I think it's the lack of resources in Kitsap County or the lack of communication between who's helping who with what. You get what I'm saying? Like, KCR has so many programs and so much they can help you with, but it's like pick and choose. It's somebody behind the scenes picking and choosing who they're helping. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
I don't feel like they prioritize certain situations. Should I say?
Are you feeling that in some cases that it's does color has to do with that?
I'm not necessarily going to say that because I know that I have been in KCR's office before.
Yes.
I have went in there. They open up around 8:30 in the morning. They go on break between like 10:30 to 12, and then they open back up.
Yeah.
I have seen white people. I have seen Hispanics. I have seen black people of all race playing the waiting game.
Yes.
So I can't just say it's about colored people. But what I will say is I feel like there's a difference on how we can help you. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to say if I was white, I would have it, or if I was Hispanic, I would have it. No, I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is they prioritize a certain way. They prioritize who they're going to help or what you need for them to help you ASAP.
So in other words, the way they prioritize or the way they handle each situation, you don't feel that it's fair?
Well,
Is it a lack of fairness?
I don't know if it's a fair act or if it's just the part where, okay, so everybody has organizations. You know,
Correct.
you have one.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, therefore, in organizations, there's people that come on your list and you're like, okay, so this woman is single. She has 4 children. This woman is single. She has an animal in this, or the different categories that you put people in.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking behind the scenes, there's somebody behind the scenes. I'm not saying for sure, but knowing that I've been on this list for 2 years with no help at all, and I'm a single mom with 4 children, the stability thing of it is like, okay, first I didn't have no job. So you're saying I don't have no income. So then I get an income. So now what's the problem? So then you want me to do shared living. So you want me to live with somebody else and their children at the same time. I don't really feel comfortable with that with 4 young children, 4 young girls at that. So then it's like, okay, so how can we move forward from that? It's like they want to place you somewhere and you move from there. They don't want to just, this already bad enough. They want you to make 3 times the rent everywhere you go. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
So it's
yeah,
like,
it's been very hard on many
and since
individuals
I was
in our
a
community.
kid, my mom had 8 kids. And since I was a child, my mom made it look easy compared to what I'm going through. Because I'm like, I have 4 children and I struggle. So I'm like, Mom, how did you do this with 8? Like,
Well, I think we learned from our parents back then.
Right.
Yes, we learned survival skills.
Right.
Back then, I think when it came to your generation, in which I knew your mother, we grew up together. I think we kind of sheltered you, our children.
Right.
And protected you.
Right.
From those barriers.
Right,
And
because
then,
we would have never known. I tell my mom all the time, I commend you because literally I got half the children you have with she was a single mother too, but she made it look so much more easier. Like we always had a roof over our head. She always kept clothes on our back. We always stay fed. And my mom literally came up through certain situations and barriers that she fought too.
Yes.
But I never seen that side of my mom. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
I never seen the crying, the struggle, and we're not going to make it
I think
type.
we held that within and to keep ourselves moving because as myself being a single mother, I think my son just shared with me, but what I'm going through. And I always remind him, I said, well, I did it with 3 children.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? And you only have one.
So you don't have no excuse. But y'all know it's different. It's so much different than when so when they say it takes a village.
Yes.
You guys had that. Nowadays,
we did.
We don't have that. Everybody says that they'll be there for you or they'll help you. But when it comes down to it, you really need to have your village because doing it alone is the hardest thing you can do. Like by yourself. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way sometimes. Even though I have my mother, I have my brother, I have you, I have people that I can call that will come through for me and my children.
Yes.
But it's like I literally have a handful of people. So back then they had a village. Like it was my grandmother, my aunts,
the neighbor.
Everybody looked out for you. It wasn't like, anybody. The store man knew your name, knew your mom, So it's like everybody in the community looked out for your children. Nowadays, your kids can't even walk to the store like that alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's different. It's a different time. It's not like that.
Well, and I really, this is sad to see and sad to hear that our other generation, that your generation is going through this struggle because I hear this from so many within, like I shared with you with my son, and then you, and then you have a few other sisters that are single, with children.
Going through the same thing.
The same struggle. I guess this is why I find myself trying to be everywhere. And even if it's overwhelming for me, I try and do my part because we don't have that village.
Right.
And it'd be nice if we can all come together, organizations and our churches, and become back that village again.
Right.
And I think society had put so much pressure on us.
And that's what it is. That's what it
has
is.
put so much pressure. The economics.
Right.
The housing.
Right.
Retirement. So many of us have so many illnesses.
Right.
But one thing I always think about, I don't ever remember my mom being sick at my age or at 50 or at 40, having all those elements.
Right.
I don't even remember the women in the church.
Well, Deborah, when it comes to the illnesses, speaking of that, it's not even about the age anymore. I don't know if it has something to do with this COVID, because, everybody throws that COVID.
Changed,
and it changed. It went from 19 to 20 to 25. But the thing is, I don't know if it's our foods that we eat.
Yes.
I noticed that When we were growing up, my mom cooked all the time.
Yes.
We barely ever, fast food was like a luxury for us.
Yes.
And I noticed that we barely ever got sick. Now, when it comes to my children, they love, oh, Mom, can we go to McDonald's? Mom, can we do Wendy's? Mom, can we do? And I'm like, you guys want to eat some vegetables? That would be nice, you know? And I tell them all the time, you're always sick or you're always going to school catching something because your immune system is not built to fight those things. See, we got fed real food.
Oh,
you
yes.
know what I'm saying?
We got garden food we fed you with.
And so it's like nowadays kids don't, they don't eat like that. I wish my kids would. I made a great pot roast the other night. I put all kind of vegetables in it. They looked at me like it was poison. And I'm like, people would love to eat
But
this.
I think we condition our children that.
It could be.
I cooked. I cooked. I cooked every day except for Fridays was called Fend for Yourself.
Right.
I believed in Saturday breakfast.
Yeah.
Saturday
See, you're like, she's like Fish Friday or Meatloaf Monday or Taco Tuesday. Like she had the same type of, that's how we grew up. It's like, okay, we're going to eat. Mom's going to make this today. Sunday, we always knew dinner was after church.
Yes.
Like, and so that's what I'm saying. My children, they rather just go to McDonald's. Like, let's go to, and I'm like,
but I think maybe you got them
cooked food.
But you got them conditioned that way, don't you think so? Because it was easy.
I don't have McDonald's money, so that's not true. I try to get them to eat at home all the time. It's the seeing of nowadays, even on YouTube, say that they're watching something. It's what they're seeing these people, like they have all these mukbangs, I think they're called, where they eat different foods and stuff. And so they see all these people buy all these Whoppers and all this, and they're chowing them down, and they're like, oh, well, that's where the TV is conditioning my kids, not me. It's YouTube that's conditioning my kids because I will eat at home quick. Like I would be like, hey, let's go home and eat. I'd rather have home cooked food.
Yes.
They're like, I don't know. I always call them little vegan kids because something about meat. They rather just cheese everything up. So I'm like, that must be new age kids because I like meat. So they like cheese pizza, cheese sandwiches, cheese roll-ups. Like cheese is their meat. And so I'm like, okay, well.
Oh, yes.
All right.
But I always, now my generation, like your mother and us, we always talk about and throw the blame back on you guys. We always say, new age parents.
Right.
Yeah, it's these new age parents. It ain't the kids.
Right.
It's new age parents.
My mom gives it to me all the time.
Yeah, I know she does because I do the same thing.
Yeah, she gives me that new age stuff all the time too. But I'm like, Mom, okay, so my mother, for instance, even though she cooked, if we didn't like something, she was still like, oh, that'll be waiting for you. Like,
yes.
You're gonna eat
yes.
what I cook.
Yes.
And so with my kids, if they say they don't like anything, my mom will get irritated because I'm like, well, put it back. I'll eat it later. She's like, no, that's why they act like that. You should make them eat that food. Ain't nothing wrong with that food. And I'll be like, well, Mom, they're not feeling it, So I don't know. It's just, it's different parenting. Grandparents are soft nowadays. You guys just went from hard to soft, I guess.
I think we want to get it. The thing is that we think about the mistakes we made, as parents. Right. And so we call it, we don't say it, but our actions say we're making up for that with this one. So that's why they can get. Yeah, because I would have
never got away with half the stuff my kids get away with. And I'm like, Mom, what happened to this? What happened to Grandma? Now it's like, oh, Grandma, fun Grandma. Where was that Grandma when I was growing up?
Well, something I want to let you know. This conversation is, we're going to have to come back to it. And I'm going to welcome you back again for part 2.
Okay.
Because this is definitely need to be shared. Also, we want to talk back more about the system, the homelessness, being on, welfare with the DSSH.
Right.
And we want to help other struggling mothers that are out there and other homeless people. I want to thank you for tuning in and viewing with us Real Talk with DMJ. And I want you to come back for part 2 with my guest, Cyneetra Brady.
Thanks, Deborah, for having me. I appreciate it. It's really an honor to be here.
Once again, come back because we got more to share with you.